Hello and welcome to the Growing Healthy Families podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Scott Haggerty. On this show, I interview the world's top health experts so that you can know with certainty what it takes to give your family a life of epic health and wellness.
As parents, we don't want to see our kids struggle. I knew that he had the potential, and I knew that something needed to be done.
It was hard. We would get frustrated. We didn't know how to deal with it. I was more emotional about it.
Sure that, we're here. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Hi, moms and dads. This is Dr. Scott Haggerty with the Growing Healthy Families podcast. And today it is my honor and pleasure to be here with one of my favorite moms of all time, Melissa.
Hi.
So thank you so much for being here and sharing with us today, Melissa.
Thank you, Dr. Scott.
So Melissa's family has been in care with us. Her son has been in care with us now for a couple of years, and we were so excited when she agreed to come on to the podcast and share her story because her son is one of my favorite little dudes, and we just love being able to have him be a part of our practice here. But what we brought her on here is because her son has a really cool story, and so we're excited that she's going to share that with you today. So thank you very much, Melissa.
My pleasure.
So first, let's just start at the beginning. When you started looking for choices, what health challenges were you seeing with your son?
Well, it started out, we started noticing my son had lost eye contact with us when we would talk to him or call his name, and it seemed like he couldn't even hear us. It was that noticeable. He was doing other things like stimming, he was doing hand flapping, walking on his tippy toes, and some other like obsessive sort of behaviors, shutting gates and doors and things like that.
So, and about how old was he when he started doing all these types of behaviors?
He was about 3.5 years old. So. And
so obviously when you met us at Elite, how old was your son?
I think he was about 3.5.
So things obviously started to progress enough where you decided it was time to start looking for some solutions. So what was life like? How were these things affecting your life, his life, the family's life? So what were you guys seeing?
Yeah, it was very frustrating because we didn't understand what was going on with our son. It was kind of chaotic in our home. At different times. For example, he had a baby sister, and whenever she would cry, he would rush over to her to smack her in the head because it was like really bothering him, like more than what was normal. So we knew that was a problem, and so it was very chaotic and stressful in the home. We were really concerned because we didn't understand, so frustrating and things like that.
So when you started seeing these behaviors coming out and seeing these things, what were you looking at in terms of what were you going to have him evaluated for? What were some of the concerns you had that might be occurring with him?
Yeah, well, I contacted his pediatrician and I told her my concerns, and she said, "Oh, it sounds like he might have autism," and she said, "Let me contact the local children's hospital to get him evaluated." So we did that, and then it was funny because that very same week, when I was supposed to be hearing back from the hospital to get him evaluated, I stumbled across an ad on Facebook for Elite Health and Wellness, and that's where I got introduced to you guys.
So how did you actually learn about us? Do you remember what the ad was, or what brought you to us?
Yeah, there was an ad. I think it said something about children with sensory issues, which at the time that's all I knew about my son, that he was exhibiting some sensory challenges. I didn't know to what degree that was, but when I saw that word, like sensory issues, my eyes were drawn to it, and before I knew it, I was signing up for something and got a phone call from one of your employers about it.
Yeah, that was, I believe, a Perfect Storm workshop.
Yes, it was.
Yes, and for those of you who aren't familiar with that, it's the National Wellness Foundation, which is what our office and about 1,000 other offices nationwide were a part of. And it's a workshop that we do to try and educate moms and dads about why so many kids are developing a lot of these types of challenges. And regardless of the alphabet soup, right? ASDS, SPD, whatever you want to label it, there are underlying things that are happening inside of a child's nervous system that, regardless of label, have common threads. And so one of the reasons why we do the workshop is because oftentimes what we find is that there's things that are happening inside of that maybe that we're just not aware of, right? Mm-hmm. And so the goal is to raise awareness, to teach you guys that there are things that oftentimes that you may not have been pointed to, but are very strongly involved in things that are affecting neurological development. And so, so obviously we met you through the Perfect Storm workshop. And so as you went through the workshop, what was going through your head?
I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is my son.
Mm-hmm.
It really made a lot of sense to me, the information that was presented, and everything from his birth story to when he was 2, he had a tragic accident where he broke his leg and he had to regress with potty training because he couldn't use the toilet, and just everything really made sense. And I thought, this is my son, and this is the path that we need to take him down to help him.
So obviously at that point you decided that you were going to come in and do the history and the exam and begin the process. Mm-hmm. So after you made that move and you came in, obviously we sat down, did a report, and we talked about what we saw, mm-hmm. and laid out a care plan for him. Mm-hmm. So let's step a little further forward. So we started into care, mm-hmm. and we started adjusting your son, and we started getting some work and building some momentum. So at what point did you realize that things were starting to change?
It was really after the second or third adjustment. We could, mm-hmm. really see he was calming down. Mm-hmm. That was like the big thing. He was just so revved up inside. Mm-hmm. We started noticing that after the second or third adjustment. Mm-hmm.
And so as you move forward, what were some of the other things you started to notice changing in your son as kind of time and momentum went on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we noticed his hand flapping, just started decreasing, and then, going away. He wasn't having the temper tantrums and the meltdowns when we wouldn't shut the gates all the way. He stopped smacking his sister when she would cry. He seemed to be more connected. Mm-hmm. So
it's a great word. Mm-hmm. It's a great word, because connection is something that we hear lots from the moms and dads we talk to, is they just feel like their kids are disconnected. Mm-hmm. So when did you start seeing things like eye contact improve?
It was a slow process. I can't exactly remember when we started noticing it, but it did definitely come. I can't remember. There were so many changes that were happening, especially during that first, 6 months, a year for him.
So now step ahead. So he's in school now.
Yes, he's in school.
And so you had some concerns before he started school, correct?
Right.
So, and what were some of the concerns that you had?
Some of my concerns were, is he going to need extra help in the classroom? I even contacted the preschool to see if they could do an evaluation of him, to see if he had special needs or maybe was on the spectrum. And we went ahead and did the evaluation, and they said, we don't see any problems with him that would cause him to be labeled as needing extra assistance in the classroom. And he actually got accepted into the preschool program as a typical peer, which just blows my mind. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So now let's skip ahead. So he's been in school, and so how's school going for him?
School is going well for him. There were some rough times in the classroom. At the beginning of his preschool year, his teachers were working with him on different things. But it was interesting because there was a point of the year where his teacher said to me, we noticed a change in Elias. It's almost like something clicked in his brain. And she had no idea that we were bringing him to chiropractic care. And my husband and I saw that same clicking with him at that same week. So we know that was, we could attribute that to the chiropractic care. And it wasn't just my husband and I seeing the difference, but it was his preschool teacher who had no idea he was having chiropractic care. So it's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. And for those of you who don't know much about this, that's one of the things we actually talk a lot about, is that there's a process that has to happen inside of all of our brains, right? Kids' brains, adult brains, where when you go from a state of arousal, which is what we see when we talk about the symptoms, right? The focus and attention or sensory issues or emotional dysregulation, there is a place where the brain is at a state of heightened arousal, and what has to happen is it has to calm down. And I can't tell you the amount of moms, it's actually been the exact same thing. There was just like a day where when everything started to change, and all of a sudden there was this level of connection that was higher than what they'd seen, and things calmed down, and things just really started to make a big move. We call it the hockey stick effect, is that things start to change, and then all of a sudden, boom, they level, and then we start to see that turn of the corner in a big direction. So now let's fast forward. So now, with where you're at now, how has life changed since you started care?
It's definitely brought more peace in our home. We're not dealing with these long, drawn-out meltdowns, where before it was, 10, 15 minutes to get him to calm down, to be at a place of peace. And we're able to redirect him better. So, and it's really neat. He started to learn some social norms. Like, for example, when he was young, when we would put him to bed and we'd say, "I love you," he didn't understand that he was supposed to say, "I love you" back. And so now, last night, I put him to bed and I said, "I love you," and he said, "I love you too." And that was it might seem small, but it's such a huge thing for him to understand that that's what you do. You say, "I love you" back to somebody. So
That's huge. That's a wonderful thing. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many moms would just absolutely just melt to go and have that exact same experience.
Yes.
So that's wonderful. So let's take a rewind. So when you came in, I'm venturing to say, like a lot of people, you're like, I probably didn't know what to expect, didn't know what was going to happen. If you were a mom that's sitting down and you're at a place where you're considering making a decision about starting care, and you could just talk to that person, talk to you sitting back then, what would you say to yourself now?
I would say, absolutely do it. You will be amazed. The information that you don't know now, that Dr. Scott can teach you, and it will make sense about your child's nervous system and why they're acting the way that they are. And I would just say that there is hope for your situation, and just bring your child into care. You've got nothing to lose. So.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else that you'd like to add today to Melissa? Elite
is just a great place. It's a very family-friendly place. The people that work here genuinely care about their patients and are here to help you. And it's just a great community of people who are, helping each other on this journey of life. And I would highly recommend Dr. Scott and the Elite family. So.
Oh, thank you very much. You're too kind. So we feel very blessed to have you and your family as a part of our family here, because, I mean, moms and dads, this is the reason that we do this, is because moms like Melissa have an amazing heart to go and share what they've experienced, and they do it out of their kindness of heart. She comes in, she gives of her time, and so we're so thankful that you've done this to try and help others. But moms and dads, we want you to know there is hope, and there's a lot of resources out there for you that may be different than what you realize, because as we were talking even before, is that we feel like a lot of moms and dads feel like their options are narrow, and that's not the case. There's a lot of other options. I mean, if you're watching this podcast or watching these recordings, the reason that we do this is because we want you to realize the options are broader than many of you are being told. It's not just that your child has to go onto a medicine. There are a million different things that you can use, chiropractic care being one of the things that we feel is incredibly effective. But it's important that you do the research and you get the information, so that when it comes time to have to make decisions about your child's health, you know what's available. and you feel empowered, because the one thing that we don't want any mom or dad ever to feel is disempowered. And oftentimes a lot of the parents that we talk to is they don't feel like they've got control or empowerment or education or knowledge to make the decisions that are the ones they want to make for their kids' health. And ultimately, I think it comes down to having that information, that empowerment, so that you can have some control over your kids' choices. Because I know that every mom and dad wants the best for their kid, but oftentimes the resources are not available in the way that I think that they should be. So, hopefully this will give you some empowerment and give you some hope, because, Melissa and her family, they went through some real struggles, but they've also seen a lot of really profound changes that have helped to improve their family's quality of life. And this hopefully gives you some inspiration so that you can continue moving forward and looking for solutions for your family. I thank you all so much for watching this, and if there's anything that we can do to help, or if there's more content that you'd like to learn about, questions you have about your family, please send us a message here through the website. You can also find us online at facebook.com. You can look up our Elite Family Kairos page, or you can reach us at elitefamilykairos.com and send us a message. We'll be more than happy to create a future podcast about questions that you may have. So this is Dr. Scott. Thank you so much for watching the Growing Family, Healthy Families podcast. God bless you guys, and be elite. Thank you for listening to the Growing Healthy Families podcast, the world's #1 source for health education. Make sure to go to iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a review. Make sure to follow us on social media at the links listed in the show notes, and let us know what area of health you are struggling with, so we can get you and your family on the road to epic health.